All right. So today is November 2nd, 2023, which is the 4 year anniversary of me being alcohol free. I didn't know I did it, but on Facebook, I woke up 4 years ago and wrote out, that's it, I've had enough. I'm going to take a month off. And that month lasted 48 months. Best thing I ever did. And it's a bittersweet anniversary for me. I'll get to the bittersweet part later, but I want to just document what I went through to get to where I got to today. And it all started with years ago, I don't know, 12 years ago. I wanted to slow down the drinking. Um, Maybe even 14 years ago. I was a drunk before I went on disability. But I was a functional drunk. So it meant I didn't drink from 7 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, most times. But it got to the point where I was just like, I should really stop this. I was drinking and driving like it was an Olympic sport and I was training for gold. I am extremely lucky that I didn't hurt anybody. I did have an accident, wrecked my bike, fucked up my body a little bit, but basically I have no real scars. I mean, I got a couple, but I am very, very lucky. Didn't learn from it. And everyone, you could say that, you're suppressing stuff. I don't know what it was, why I was drinking so much. I mean, I had a decent life until I went on disability, and my entire life that I was planning on went away. And I went from having money and a career and health to it all going away. And I was broke and depressed. And alcohol is a good buddy for getting you through the next couple of hours, but you pay for it when you wake up. And then you're like, oh shit, I feel like shit. I feel worse than I did yesterday. So let me drink more to get away from that. And it's just you're spiraling down. Food doesn't help either. You're eating the wrong kind of, if you eat comfort food, you're comforting yourself. It's just like alcohol. You're comforting yourself for the moment, but you're paying for it later on down the line with health. So I don't remember exactly when it was, but let's just say 10 years ago, I decided to try magic mushrooms because I'd heard that you could stop drinking with it. And I read all kinds of things. I was afraid to do psychedelics for my entire life. The only thing I had done was drink and smoke pot, and I had done nothing else. No coke, no nothing, just pot and alcohol. And then I tried magic mushrooms. And the first time I did it, I've done all these things by myself, which I can't really say is great to do, but I was desperate. I wanted to try something. The first time I did it, I didn't know what to expect. I hid all my guns. I didn't know what was going on. I have video documentation because I recorded a lot of things. And once you realize, like, oh shit, this is not nearly what they said it was going to be. I didn't freak out at all. I was growing pepper plants out of my lanai. I was outside holding them, trying to talk to them or see if I could, feel them. It just was a very awakening thing. And the first time I did it, I didn't really get too much out of it other than this is benign and I'll do this again. And the next weekend I did it again. And that's when I started getting stuff out of it. I had gotten the gift of empathy. That one session I had went through my emotional closet and just swept it all clean, things with my son and my ex-wife, and more importantly, this multiple decade rage that I had for my father just gone. And that's when I realized, oh, this is medicine. And then I kept going, and this is what made me go to other psychedelics such as LSD, MDMA, DMT. I would have done ayahuasca if I had the opportunity to do it in the right spot. I just haven't. I don't know if I'd ever do it at this point. But I believe that it was the want to do it, the help with psychedelics, moving to Guatemala, which removed a lot of the tension. You live in the United States, you feel the rat race all the time, even if you're not working. It's just, I was poor in the United States, so I felt like shit. Moving here freed me of all those things. It allowed me to I experimented a little more. I went back to drinking every day. But I was healthier because I was walking more. And The nearest McDonald's is 2.5 hours away. And I don't know the language, so I couldn't order shit food all the time. I had to cook. And I suck at cooking. But I had realized in the first couple of months that whatever I was eating, you know, chicken, meat, eggs, it was making me healthier. And that's when I started getting into LSD and MDMA and DMT. And the drinking was still there, though. And actually, I got to the point, you know, like the average drinker gets blackout drunk maybe twice a year. I was getting blackout drunk twice a week. I'm pretty sure I fried my fucking hippocampus, which is responsible for memory recall. And I'm working on building that back. But I think the key was when I was back in the States 4 years ago, I had gotten naltrexone. Look up the Sinclair method. And the people that I'd watched that had done the Sinclair method, they just reduced the amount of drinking. And I specifically remember the very first time I tried it. This is when I was living in Englewood, Florida. It was a Friday. I would go over to my friend Sean's house. He worked at an apartment complex, and Fridays, we'd all get together. Me, Sean, and a lot of his neighbors, the older men neighbors, were all hanging out at this gazebo. There's like 5 decades worth of people there. You know, from like 40 to 90, 30 to 80, whatever. And we were all drinking and talking about drugs, and I got drunk plenty of times over there where I either slept over at the house or drove drunk home. I had 2 beers over the course of like 4 hours and drove home. And I was like, wow, this naltrexone gave me control back, because as a drinker, if my drink was empty, I went and shot it down. I was always looking for another drink until I got to the point where I was like, oh, I gotta go home. It gave me control. And then I moved back here and brought naltrexone with me. And every time I would go out, well, not every time, but if I remembered, you take the pill an hour before you go out, and you got the control back. Instead of doing 10 shots tequila for $13, I would do just a handful, and I would be in control. I was like, wow, this is fucking great. Where I was like, I am buzzed, but I am in total control. And every so often I would forget to take the pill, but I was still in control. Every so often I would go off the rails. But it just got to the point where I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And here's one thing that I think is also key. So it's psychedelics, naltrexone, and I always set a date. I was like, all right, this day I'm going to stop drinking. It was usually within the first 2 weeks of when I fell off. And a lot of times I blew through it. A lot of times I stopped for a couple of days and did it again. A lot of times I went for 5 days. But I never stopped setting a date. And I never told anybody about it. I would just put it on my calendar. Like I didn't say, oh yeah, I'm stopping on blah, blah, blah. I would just do it because I didn't want to, you know, when I blew through it, I didn't want to look bad in front of everybody. So it was just something for myself. And here's the weird thing. So November 2nd, 2019, I guess it is. 2018? Whatever the hell 4 years ago it was. When I stopped, and I felt really good about stopping. On November 6th or something, my Google thing popped up and said, stop drinking. And I was like, so I'd already made a day to stop drinking. I had just stopped 4 or 5 days beforehand, and I never went back. And it's the best feeling ever. And I hope that if you're considering quitting drinking, it's not one, well, for me, it's not one thing. It's an amalgamation of things. And it starts with the want or the desire to do it. And then for me, it was psychedelics. For me, it was setting a date. And for me, if I was going to pick one thing, it would be the naltrexone. Because that made a significant difference in how I handled alcohol. And it's legal, and, you know, you don't have to, it's not like antabuse where you get sick. It just gives, so here's what it does. It shuts off the reward mechanism in your brain. It's actually, it works on the opiate receptors. Here's the thing. If you take opiates, you cannot do it, or you have to get off of it for 10 days before you can do it. That's a warning. Look up the Sinclair method. Now, here's the bittersweet part of this. Most people that have had a problem with drinking have lost jobs, lost girlfriends or boyfriends, lost relationships, done really stupid things. I probably have lost levels in relationships, but never really lost a relationship. I don't know. I'm not sure. Drinking might have had a hand in one of the reasons why one of the girls broke up with me, but not the reason. But I've recently had an issue where I lost a very good friend, not because I was drinking, because I wasn't drinking. And it's not because they wanted me to drink and I wouldn't drink. It's they accused me of drinking. They accused me of secretly drinking and keeping it a secret for months. And I can't tell you how much that hurt. Because out of all the things I've fucked up and fought my way back to do, all my accomplishments, working 7 days a week while I was going to computer school at night, working a full-time trucking job during the week and working weekends. Like I worked 7 days a week so I could go to school at night and juggled seeing my son during that time. And I went from driving a truck to IT. I had a nice career in IT. You know, I moved to Florida, moved to Guatemala. I have a nice life now, despite the fact that I got dealt a shitty deck of cards. And, you know, I have this disease that prevents me from working. And I went from a bum in Florida that had nothing to a guy in Guatemala that is not poor. I'm not rich, but I have self-worth. It is, of all the things I've accomplished in my life, stopping drinking is the top of the list because it's done the most good. And for her to accuse me of secretly drinking is, aside from hurtful, it's just like, how would you even believe that I could successfully pull this off? Anybody that knows me, there are people that barely know me. Like, oh yeah, you wouldn't be able to hold on. You wouldn't be able to keep it a secret. And I don't really give a shit. If I started drinking again, I'd be out at the bar that night. I wouldn't hide it. And the fact that she thought that I was capable of blowing a friendship over her thinking I lied about it and kept the lie going, it broke my fucking heart. So that's what I'm thinking about today. Is like, I can't believe I lost a really good friend because I wasn't drinking. And the shitty thing is I got to see her around town. And it's like, out of all the people in this town that I have to fucking actively try to ignore is her. And there's another reason why I got to get out of this town. She was the only thing that made this town bearable these last 2 years. And now that's gone. And it's not only is it gone, but it stabs me a little bit because when I see her, I'm like, fucking hate this place, gotta get out of here. Anyway, I just want to give you a little bit of hope that if you're having issues with alcohol, it's not going to change overnight. You just keep trying. When you fall off, get back on the horse. Keep going. Figure out what works for you. Naltrexone, I think, is great. Setting dates for you to stop drinking, even if you blow through it, is great because eventually you just get tired of doing it and just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And psychedelics, they don't hurt either. Just do it. I do them in low doses. Everybody will tell you, oh, you do 5 grams of mushrooms, the heroic dose, or you do 2 or 3 hits of LSD, or you do this amount of MDMA, or you smoke this much DMT. Fuck all that shit. What I call it flying under the radar. I take half doses of LSD, half doses of MDMA. I don't do any of them anymore. But when I was doing them, I was actually going, most people go higher and higher. I was going lower and lower. And exercise. Exercise releases endorphins and all this other shit. It sucks the first week or 2 that you're doing it. But I guarantee you, if you do it every single day, if you make it like brushing your teeth, you go to the gym every fucking day. Even if it's for 5 minutes, you go to the gym, you do one exercise, I don't feel like doing this, you get out, I guarantee you're going to feel better when you walk out than when you walked in. And you'll just keep doing it. If you create that habit, it will repay you manyfold back. All right, that's enough of me preaching now. Good luck. If anybody wants to talk to me privately, DM me. I will be glad to discuss things with you. And again, good luck.